Welcome back today. Today we are doing The Sims. And I have built the Amnitiville horror house. Now this house here is modeled after the 1979 movie and not the real house. If it were the real house, the chimneys would not be exposed and there would be two of these porches because they've updated it and added another porch over here. There would also be a pool. None of those things exist on the stage model, which is what this house is from. So this stage model is from the 1979 movie, and so everything's a little different position than it should be. One, this bedroom is much bigger than it should be. Secondly, what was it? Oh, the stairway here. In the set design, they have the attic stairs here, when in the real house, the attic stairs should be here and going up and being exposed, like right about here. I considered doing that, but I don't know. I just left it that way. If it really bugs me, I might change it. And if you download this from the gallery, feel free to change it. But it might give you some difficulty doing that with the stairway below it. So yeah. It's been decorated to mimic what the Lutz's tastes were. Very beach style. I had to guess on the kitchen here. I mean the dining room, because they don't really show you what it looks like. So I sort of went with what the DeFeos had, which was red wallpaper and sort of just red tastes with the blue carpet. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. And this room here, that's just the sunroom. In the movie, they don't really show you what's in there, but sunrooms are usually like leisure places to read a book, you know, have a small party. So I put a gaming table, another gaming table, and a small bar out here. But the front room is kind of how they had it. I had to cheat to get that radio there because they have these really old furniture pieces that the simulator doesn't have, so I had to fake it. The kitchen here is lovely old country style. Pretty cabinets. I like this little cleaning nook. They don't really do that much anymore nowadays, but I like that. You know? And then the basement, where the trouble happens. So here in the basement, I did two red rooms, okay? The first red room is from the movie, and I know, what a hypocrite. Well, you didn't do the stairs the same. Like I said, it would be difficult, and it wouldn't look right. So I just went with the movie one. If you can do it, go ahead. So in the movie, they had like a well of souls. And I put a door there, a really creepy red door, to emphasize the broken wall that George Lutz's character creates when he bashes through this wall to expose this red room. Now the red room is covered in like a black ooze. So I found like, you know, black concrete to do that. But under the ooze, it's just the well. Okay, so there's your... But in the real house, it's actually a room back here that's hidden behind a closet. And if you were to go in that closet and then break through that wall, you see this little red room that's made of red brick. And doesn't really make much sense, but it's there. And a lot of people say that that's where the possession comes from. I don't know why there is a red room down there. Like I said, it's old house, a lot of weird people. I don't know. So here in this model house, I decided, you know, let's keep it somewhat accurate, and I put the red room there. So when you download it, if you don't want to use the red room in the closet, just remove it. Simply just click on it and remove her. Or remove the well. Or keep them both, whatever. But this is also doubles as the laundry room for the house. And I couldn't find a hot water heater, so George Lutz now has a still. But here's a workbench, other stuff. I tried to model it. Now, the original house, these rooms are actually filled like rec room stuff and storage. In the movie, they only show you this corridor here, and they like to show it from this angle mostly. In fact, in the movie, they lie and say that there's a window here, when there can't be a window there because there's all of this room over here. Yeah. So what are you going to do? So I left those blank. You can make them exercise rooms or whatever if you download this. Which, when I play with this house, I'll probably end up doing that. Um, so, this house has a long reputation, the real one. Now, the real house, like I said, the fireplaces are not exposed, they're hidden within the wall. Okay, that's the number one thing. Also, the original house, from the time that the controversy started, was black with white trim. It was very gothic. Only this porch was still white. I don't get that. But whatever, it's not my house. Anyways, so back when this house had a black face, which they changed, and now the house does kind of look like this, but with the chimney still hidden. I kind of liked it. It was very goth. But anyways, so back when this house was its original style, before this movie was ever even a thought, before the book was ever created, the DeFeo family moved in to 112. What was the address exactly? Oh, I have it here. 112 Ocean Avenue in Amnitiville. Okay. A beautiful house. They just, when they drove up, they were like, oh my God. So the DeFeos, they buy it. They move in. Lovely, normal, at least on the surface, everyday Italian Catholic family. Right? Lots of kids. They seem happy. Well, behind the scenes, the father of the DeFeo family was abusive and he liked to drink. And he liked to take most of his anger out on their older son, Ronnie. Now, when they moved in, everything seems fine. But over time, poor Ronnie DeFeo, Ronnie, however you want to call him, I'm going to call him Ronnie, who at that time was living in this room, was suffering some serious psychosis. He was talking to himself. He was having extreme outbursts of anger. It wasn't good. You know, he was saying he was hearing things. He wasn't eating. He wasn't sleeping. Not good. He definitely seemed like a candidate for a mental eval. But his family being, you know, what they were, Catholic. A lot of Catholic families, at least at that time, didn't believe in mental care. You know, they thought that, you know, maybe he was just on drugs. Which he was. Yeah, he was. Which was probably aiding to his psychosis, because if you already have a problem in your brain and you start taking outside stimulants, that can make the problem even worse. So, everybody seemed to love the house. They were enjoying it. The kids were rambunctious, enjoying all of these rooms, just playing. They had a dock down here. There was a boathouse, access to water. These kids were in a fantasy land, all except for poor Rodney. Now, if they had gotten Rodney help, maybe the next part of this history wouldn't have happened. So, unfortunately, on November 13th, early in the morning, like before it rolls over to November 14th, at 3:15, Ronnie gets up and he unalives each of his family members one at a time. Now, controversy on that one is why did none of them wake up as it was happening? Well, at the same time on that night, there was a really bad storm happening. So the idea is that as this was happening, the members of the family didn't hear it happening because they were asleep, face down in their beds, unaware of the noise, apparently. And yeah, maybe it was the thunderstorm and well timing. Who knows? The boy was crazy, and this was the night, you know? So, unfortunately, none of them heard it, and came to untimely ends. And the next morning, November 14th, I'm not sure, I think Ronnie DeFeo himself called the police to report when he came to, because in his words, he doesn't remember any of it. So he was in some sort of psychosis moment where he had disassociated from his own mind, essentially. Blind rage is another word for it. There's a lot of terms for that particular kind of moment. So that's what he's claiming happened. And so the next day, when he finds all of his family members very, very not alive, he calls the cops. and he reports that there was some sort of intruder and that he doesn't know what happened. Everybody's gone. So they come and they arrest him because they're pretty sure that it was him that did it. And long story short, yeah, it was him that did it. And whether or not he was demonically possessed is up in the air for me. There's a chance. I mean, if you believe in demons, because he was so crazy, so weird and wild that when they locked him up and they sentenced him to life, they didn't just put him in a prison cell. They didn't put him in regular confinement. No, they put him in maximum isolation, which means that he's under the prison. He's in like what essentially are prison catacombs with crazy people in them. That's where Ronnie lived the remainder of his life, was down there in the bowels of a prison. Because he was just so dangerous, so crazy, unpredictable. A liar. You don't know. Like, just, So they locked him up. So, and this all happened in 1974. And then I believe it was 1975, I believe, was when the Lutz family moved in. Let me double check that. So I think it was like a year later. Yeah, and Ronnie DeFeo also confessed on October 14th, 1975, that he was in fact the one who did it. But people still believe he was possessed by a demon. I think he was just a troubled boy who really, really needed help and didn't get it. Let's see, when did the Lutz family move in? Okay. Well, I don't seem to have the date when the Lutzes moved in. Huh, that's weird. I thought I did. Oh, okay, yeah. They moved in 1975. So the same year that Ronnie admitted to having done this, the Lutz family moves in. Now, the book that inspired the movie in 1979 is inspired by the Lutz family. Now, the Lutz family, they moved in 1975, and they bought this house, this giant house with waterfront access. Are you kidding me? For $80,000. Let that sink in. Even in 1975, that's mind-boggling. Okay? Now, you could chalk that up to the real estate agent thinking that the house is possessed, or the real estate agent going, okay, the house has had a very unfortunate history. There's no way I can get full price for it. So they try for half the price, and then they end up having to knock the price down. And as the house gets run down over the years, the more the price drops. So I think that's around the time that the Lutz family found it. Was when it hadn't had that long to run down, but when the DeFeos moved in, it wasn't exactly brand new. So the DeFeos left it. Well, they didn't leave it, but when the DeFeos were met there at that night, the house was pretty much in the same condition as it was when they first moved in. So the Lutzes bought it a year later and in the same conditions. So it was not good. It was dirty, things like that. So they bought it for $80,000. When I say dirty, I mean it had molding issues where there was like just buildup over time. The real estate agents, of course, kept it, physically clean because you're going to have to try and sell this thing. But outside of that, it wasn't like pristine. So they buy it for $80,000. Kathy is elated. The first time she saw this house, she just fell in love. George, on the other hand, was kind of like reluctant. He was scared of the price because this would take a lot of their life savings. Everything that they have culminated, they're going to have to sell some stuff just to get the money for this house. So he's thinking it through, right? So long story short, they buy the house, right? They buy this house, 4,000 square feet of house. That's a lot of house, okay? 4,000 square feet. If you don't know what that is, look it up. That's a lot of room. So they buy this house for $80,000. They move in, and they only last 28 days in this house. 28 days. Dream house. and they can only stand 28 days. Now I'll break it down for you. They report slime on the walls, a stinky smell that follows them around, Kathy levitating, just weird things, eyes peering in through the windows. George seems to be waking up at 3:15 a.m. every night, which is the exact time that the DeFeos left this world. They're creeped out. 28 days later, they run. Okay? So is it haunted? Is that why they ran? Could be. But let me break it down a little bit. Okay. So this house, which is very old, I think it was built in the 1920s. Very old house. Okay. It's got wallpaper and paneling. Okay. That means there's a lot of glue involved in that wallpaper. Old glue. Okay. Now, this is just my theory. I don't know. If you know about wallpaper and you can kibosh what I'm about to say, good on you. Please let me know in the comments. But keep in mind, this is salt water back here. This house has been sitting still for about a year. This is really old wallpaper. And a giant family just moved in. 4 kids, 2 adults. Okay, they just moved in. Could the slime oozing out of the walls that was reported possibly be the glue coming, like, reacting to the salt water vapor in the air and the warm bodies? Could it just be, like, glue goo coming through the paper wall? Because it's wallpaper, so there's pores in paper, even wallpaper, which you're like, oh, it kind of feels plastic. There's still pores there. So I'm just wondering, like, over time with breakdown, people touching this, heat damage, would the wallpaper have become brittle enough for the glue to react to all of these elements and squeeze itself through? You know, just kind of like ooze. That's a possibility. In my opinion, that seems like a very logical possibility. But I could be wrong. It could be Slimer the Ghost trying to say hi in the weirdest way humanly possible. Or metaphysically possible, I think would probably be the better way to say that. But anyways, could it be that? I don't know. But that's what I think could possibly have been the slime on the walls. Now the stink. This is an old house. Now, again, this is the set model, so it doesn't have a downstairs bathroom. But the original house does. So this is a house with not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 bathrooms. A bathroom on every level of the house. And you know, I wouldn't be even surprised if they had a bathroom down here. Okay? So you have this big house with 4 bathrooms. Right? Old plumbing. Old plumbing does a very special thing because I have to look up the date, but burping systems for your septic or your export from your toilets, your drainage essentially, those weren't installed until a certain point in history. So, and they installed them for a purpose, because if you don't have an adequately working burping system for your toilets runoff, you know, or the stuff that goes out, then you get this nasty little occurrence that happens. Okay? And you can get either the mild side of it or you can get the really bad side of it. Now, the mild side of it is every now and then when you flush your toilet, it kind of stinks in the air a little bit. It burps. The water and fluid goes down, and it hits what is a gas pocket that's building in the pipes, and it pushes it up. And it runs up the pipes, runs past the water because gas can move through water, and it goes up, hits the toilet bowl, and goes burp. Only you don't hear it go burp, but it does. It burps into the air, and then you smell it. And the stuff down there is really stinky, and so when you smell it, you're like, oh, what died? Okay, I'm sure some of us have smelled that in houses from time to time, and usually that's what it is the burping system is not working correctly, and it's creating a reverse of gas. Instead of just the gas leaving the pipes through a burp pipe, which is a pipe that kind of stands upright from your septic system underneath your house, so that when the water goes down, the gas that comes up from below goes up through this empty pipe that just kind of goes up, and then it burps up into the air. Normal, and it happens every time so the gas can't build up and become really stinky. Okay? But if you don't have that, then the gas builds up and it becomes really stinky. And if it's a real problem, it's going to happen almost every time you flush one of your toilets. If your house has 4 toilets, you can imagine the kind of stink that will be erupting from the different levels of your house, especially when you have a big family living in this big house with all of these toilets. So I think that may have been the stink that they were suffering, because part 2 to that same problem is a reverse siphon effect. If you don't have a working burping system and the gas builds in a certain way down there, depending on the fluid level of your sewer or septic system, depending on the fluid level, when the gas follows the pipe back up, what it can cause is a siphon. See, the siphon that is usually caused from a toilet is you hit the plunger, the water leaves the back of the tank, hits the water in the bowl, and causes pressure to push the water down through the pipes, okay? And it causes that spiral suction. That's a siphon suction. So it's siphoning everything that is in that bowl down into the pipes and pushing it out into your septic. Okay. Reverse siphon is when the gas in your septic or your sewer and a high enough fluid level cause everything within reach of that pipe to get sucked back up. And it doesn't just come out of your toilets. It can come out of your sinks, your tub. Because once it hits your plumbing, it can spread. It can be a real bad problem. Now, the Lutz family did report nasty substances in their toilets. Luckily for them, it wasn't hitting everything else, I think. I mean, from what I've read, I don't remember seeing a report where they're saying it was coming out of all of their plumbing. But it was definitely nasty stuff coming out of their toilet. So to me, that seems like a reverse siphon effect. So I think they just had a really faulty burping system in their plumbing. And that was causing a lot of problems. That could also cause some irritation to moisture within the walls. Your plumbing can do a lot of things. It can make your house groan. It can make your walls growl. You can be minding your own business and it sounds like a banshee just wailed from the wall right next to your ear. That's all plumbing. It's fun. It's fun stuff, and it's a little unpredictable, especially when it gets older. And building codes in the past are not standard building codes of today. So, a chance, that's what it was. Devil's advocate moment. Now, the eyes. The creepy eyes peering in from the second floor windows. Yeah, that's weird. I would immediately go, oh, what the hell is that? And think maybe either I had a peeping Tom or possibly was being haunted by an alien. I don't know. But after a moment of thinking and realizing that I live in an area that has a lot of trees and a lot of wildlife refuge zones around me, meaning plant life, untouched, because they lived in a lovely area that wasn't wall-to-wall houses. So their nearest neighbor would have been like here. Which leaves a lot of buffer ground between this neighbor's yard and the Lutz's yard, which breeds for rodents. And when you have areas that breed for rodents, you also have areas that welcome in owls. And what do owls like to do? Well, owls are funny little critters. They like to sit in trees all night because they're looking for mice. And while they're bored sitting in their tree, seeing as how they don't have radio, any kind of music, or TV, or books, they look in your windows because you're moving around in there and there's light in there. And so they're just basically attracted to the movement. And so they watch you through the window. And sometimes they'll get real close. And you can tell it's an owl when they're close enough because you see their little outline and you're like surprised for a second. And you're like, oh, hi, little owl. But when they're far enough away into the shadows and those beady little eyes that are right directly in front of their face, much like a human or a demon or some sort of monster in your fantasies, and the light from inside your windows reflects off of their little eyeballs, it looks like a red-eyed demon staring at you. So there is a very good chance with the nature around this house that the red eyes they were seeing were just owls looking in the windows because stuff is moving around inside the house and they are motion activated creatures. Simple fact. So that's my guess on the red eyes. Now, Kathy levitating in the bed, I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to see that with my own eyes because I can't find video of it. I can't find photo of it. I just find report of it. So That one is suspect to completely whatever you think it is. Because did Kathy really levitate? Or is it just them lying? I don't know. So I can't debunk that one, other than it's possibly just a lie. And it would have happened in this room. This is Kathy and George Lutz's bedroom. Oh, I love this. You know, this is kind of weird, but this is claustrophobic, and yet at the same time I like it. Okay, so their master suite has these sliding glass door closets, right, and they face directly at the bed. And never mind. No, I kind of like it, but at the same time I don't like it. I think it's too close. I think it narrows the space where the bed goes to a point where it's, I don't know. And I mean, the glass is supposed to give you the illusion of more space, but I don't know. I like it. I don't like it. I'd have to see it in real life. I don't think the bedroom has these glass closets here anymore. Which, again, the sliding glass closets make no sense. You want to know why? Giant dressing room right outside their bedroom. Big enough to be a kid's baby nursery. Like, this is a whole other room, and it's their closet. So I don't understand what the need is for these two massive closets here and here. I don't get it. But I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. So, and in the model designs for the film house, they have this like little walkway here that does nothing. There's nothing in there. There's no toilet. Like, that could fit a toilet, right? No toilet, nothing there. So I'm thinking that was just added so the camera crew could get a correct angle when sitting and trying to get the shot. I think that's what it was. I don't remember seeing a shot that would have culminated from this angle in the movie, but a lot of shots in movies are removed later on. So that's my guess as to why this is added to the model's, structure. Because it doesn't really make sense at all to have that, Yeah. Or at least put a door on it or something. I don't know. But anyways, where was I? Okay, so the levitation, can't explain that other than it's possibly just a lie. Okay. And George waking up at 3:15 a.m. every night. Two possibilities. One, he's lying. Two, he looked up the history of the house and he psychologically messed with himself. Okay. There's this thing you can do. And it's, if you scare yourself enough using what are seemingly facts to you. So say George Letts went to the local library, looked up the murders and the controversy of possible demonic possession behind it. Okay, say he looked that up. Right? That's in his head. All right. Now, the time of the murders are 3:15 at night. Or see, the time that the DeFeo family left us was 3:15 a.m. So, he has that in his head too. Okay. Now, this is speculation. I don't know if he looked it up or not. I'm saying if he did, this could explain why he was subconsciously waking up at 3:15. Okay. Ronnie DeFeo removed his family at 3:15. George Lutz has a new family. It's new to him. These are his adopted children from his wife's previous marriage. Okay? These ain't his kids. But he's acting like their father, and so for all intents and purposes, he is their father. And so maybe subconsciously he was worried because at 3:15 a.m. an entire family left the planet, and he has an entire family under the very same roof. So maybe George Lutz was subconsciously scared. And at 3:15 every night, his brain would rouse him up so that he could look and survey and then go back to sleep. What if that's what it was? What if it had nothing to do with the demonic possession? What if it was just a father possibly scared and not realizing that he was scared, and so his brain was just waking him up at the exact time it needed to displace the fear? You know what I'm saying? So that's a possibility. Or he could just be lying. I mean, I wasn't there at 3:15 every morning that George Letts says he was woken up for no reason. I wasn't there. I wasn't there for Kathy's apparent levitation. I wasn't there, and neither were any of you. So, I don't know. Could be a lie, could be a fact. Hard to say. But my gut says that Kathy was probably not levitating, and George was probably just scared. Or lying. Could go either way. So after 28 days of living in this beautiful house that they have moved all of their furniture in, okay, all of it. Some of the DeFeo's old furniture was there, and that got moved into storage up here mostly, and some storage in the basement. Okay, probably the Lutzes were trying to figure out what they were going to do with it and what they were going to keep and not keep. So this room didn't really get use. In the movie, this is the demonic possession room. This is the room of the flies. He comes in, he goes to this window, all of a sudden flies, just won't stop. And they're just covering him, he can't get out. Finally gets out, goes downstairs, stumbles out the front door, goes to his car, and retches. That's that room. This is the daughter's room. Okay. Now in the movie, the Lutz family only has 3 children. In reality, the Lutz family has 4. Okay, so we're sticking with the movie family because I don't know what the 4th child would look like, and I don't want to base the Sims characters off of real people. I mean, the actors, of course, are real people, but the actors are acting the part of a real person. So I think it just feels less wrong for me to make the movie cast instead of the real family, you know? Because they're real people, and the movie cast, they're just pretending to be those people. So we're going to go with that. So in the movie, they only had the 3 kids. So here we only have the 3 kids. So this is the daughter's room. I zhuzhed it up because in the movie, her room is bare bones. Like, nothing suitable for a little girl. She's got a dresser, a bed, a chair for her. Because I know there's this, I need to put another chair in here then. Because I know that in one scene she's sitting across from the other rocking chair and they're just one disembodied rocker rocking and then her. So I know there's another chair that I have to put in here. But I didn't see a toy box, laundry basket, books, dollies, nothing. Nothing. Bare bones for a little girl. Are you crazy? So I couldn't. I put stuff in her room because you know what? She's getting stuff in her room. This is ridiculous. You know? Especially when in the movie you see the little boy's room is just covered in toys. Wall-to-wall toys. And I'm like, this seems like a staging issue. Like somewhere on the crew, someone went, okay, we gotta stage the little girl's room. What do little girls' rooms look like? And they're like, I don't know. White? So they painted her room white. And they gave her a bed, a nightstand, and 2 chairs. I'm like, were there no little girls on set that day? No women at all? Like, none of you ever decorated a little girl's room? Oh, she had this carpet, too. Okay, well, she had a carpet. I don't know. So I couldn't let it stand. No, that did not look like a little girl's room. So I made it look like one. Yeah, and then up here, I did my best to recreate how many toys they had. Had some sort of weird mech bot thing here that I couldn't recreate, so I just put the robot head. Just tried to make it look somewhat like a little boy's room. I don't know, those seem a little out of place, but I'm gonna leave them because they fit the corner. Boy Scout stuff, you know, baseballs, things like that. Got a nice bathroom up here, and then all the storage stuff, and of course George has already gone over to the exercise equipment, which I snuck up there because I've seen the pictures of George Lutz. Didn't look like a runner or a lifter, so I didn't want to just put exercise equipment anywhere willy-nilly throughout the house. I hid it. That way they can still use it, but it doesn't take from the aesthetic reality. Anyways. So, yeah, 28 days later, they leave this house. And I don't mean they moved out, you know, got U-Hauls, left. No, I mean they packed up into their van, got their dog, and scoot. Clothes on your back style. Whatever you can grab. Like, that's weird. That's weird. So I think that they thought they were really haunted. Okay, I think that they really thought that they were really haunted, but I also think that they thought that they could market it. Okay, stay with me here. Now, two things can be correct. Somebody can be lying for effect to get money and attention and be telling the truth at the same time. They're just exaggerating the truth to get the money and attention. Okay, so according to the now grown boys of the family, or at least according to one of them, let me double check that. Okay, so one of the sons, okay, Christopher, he says that the house was in fact haunted, but, and I quote, however, he also said that the events were exaggerated by his stepfather, George Lutz. Okay, and then the history on George Lutz goes, George Lutz was curious about paranormal activity. And in this house, he tried to summon spirits. He did, because he thought he could. So I think, this is why I think that he did look up the history of this house. I think he did. Because he's going to buy this house for $80,000. I don't think this man's just going to blindly do that. I think he looked it up. I think he knew that this house had a history, and then he thought maybe it was haunted. So he moved his family in. Okay, I think that's what happened there. It didn't hurt that Kathy loved the house. So I think that's what happened here. I think he moved him in. The house seemingly seems haunted. But like I said, those things could be other things that are being associated as possession. Who knows? Anyways, so he tries to contact spirits, and the price of the house, it seems like it was economically a motivated exaggeration to sell the story. You know, make money off of your haunting kind of thing. He's not the only one to have ever tried that. So that's why it's a possibility, because other people have tried that throughout history. It's a thing. Like, spirit photography and like the, old black and white photo where you have to stand there and look upset, and they take a photo and it goes, big puffy, smoke thing explodes. That kind of photography. Back then, there was a thing called spirit photography, and it was where they were trying to take pictures of ghosts or ectoplasm leaving a medium's body, or smoke entity leaving a card table for a tarot seance. Okay, so spiritualism on that aspect of the proof of the what's next to come kind of thing is a big seller. It's always been a big seller. It's always gonna be a big seller. I think George Lutz knew that. George Lutz's stepson says that he did know that. Okay? And so the exaggeration, like Kathy levitating and his needing to wake up, that could just be his exaggerating it. And the smell, like I said, sewer, your septic, your pipes, old wall, glue, things like that. Simple things. All of that, very explainable. Now, what's not explainable? Okay, we're going to go back to I want to play double devil's advocate here. I'm trying to break apart the possible haunting, but I'm going to take you back to the haunting. Let's go back to the haunting. All right. Now, during the Lutz's proclamation that this house is haunted and they are suffering, the 28 days that they are there, the Warrens, I believe, is their last name. It's the family that all of the Conjuring movies, I believe, the one where the mediums come and they, like the Annabelle doll and stuff. The people who had the Annabelle doll and they took her and put her behind glass. Those people. I think they're called the Warrens. But they come to the Lutz's house, the 112 Ocean Avenue house, and they start doing their paranormal investigation because they've gotten letters from the Lutz's saying that this house is haunted. Please help us. And they're describing these events, and they're like, okay, let's go look. So the Warrens come, and they start walking around the house, and they're like, there's some bad mojo up in here. Which, understandable. I mean, an entire family did leave the planet in that house. So I'm going to say, metaphysically, energy speaking, which is something I do believe in, the energy, the air in that house, the atmosphere is probably going to be kind of heavy. Especially if you know the history. Okay, which I don't think the Warrens are just going to walk into a situation they haven't researched at all. Okay, so I think that may have been the uneased feeling that the Warrens were having as they walked through this house. But what I will not be able to explain, because I don't believe the Warrens are liars. I just don't. I don't know what exactly they're experiencing, but there are a lot of different metaphysical explanations that aren't demons. Okay? I'll leave it at that. But there is one photo in particular that they took that I have no explanation for, because everyone who's there is claiming the exact same thing. Okay? So that gives it credit. It does. Credibility is given when enough people say they all witnessed the same thing. Even though I wasn't there to witness it, I'm going to have to give them the weight, because there's enough of them. It's not one, it's not two, it's a bunch of people and a camera guy. You know? All saying this. So, and a photo itself. Again, physical photo. So, in the original house, this staircase, like I said, goes all the way up from here. It's not like separated in here. So imagine this is here and just go straight up into the attic room where Ronnie's room would have been. So the Warrens, they got a photo of, I believe it's this angle right here. And now there would be a curve to the railing that goes up, right? So they have a photo of a little boy with almost no lower torso. Like, look at the photo. Okay? He fuzzes out past here. Now, it could just be that it's an old camera and high def pixelization, all that. It was not a reality. Fuzzy, and you guess, was the reality. So, his fuzzy torso, he could be a ghost. It could just be bad imaging from a kind of crappy camera. Right. I don't think the Warrens had a really crappy camera taking photos with it, but I don't know. I wasn't there. Anyways, all right. So they take a photo, and there's this little boy's head just sticking up right there, right? And a little hand, as if he's just trying to peek up over the railing. Just one little hand. Okay. So that's what you would see in the photo right there. It's just a photo you can go look up. Just, type in Amnitiville ghost photos. And it'll probably be the first one you see. Or Warren's Amnitiville ghost photo. Try that one. I might get you it too. Either way, if you look it up, you will find that photo of this little boy with his little hand just kind of peeking up over the railing, and his glowing eyes and his deathly pale skin. And here's the fun fact about that photo. All of the kids were not on that floor at that time. Okay? There was no kids on this floor that the Warrens were taking the photo on. So who's the little boy? He didn't come with them. And let's say he wasn't theirs. Camera guy goes, I don't remember a kid. But he's in the photo. Okay, so that is the one concrete thing that I cannot really debunk. Other than maybe it's faked. But like I said, the Warrens, I don't see them as lying. I just don't. I don't. Well, why? Well, if you're going to lie, like if you're going to grift for a spiritual reason, a lot of grifters don't keep their trophies. They just sort of move on into the next set of victims. They don't keep the thing. The Warrens had a whole room in their house that was blessed by priests. Not once, not twice, routinely. Okay? So they believed that the objects they were putting in there were scary. So they believed in these hauntings. And if you believe in something, and you really believe in it, you're less likely to fake it. On that level. Like you're keeping the item because you're afraid it'll hurt somebody level. That gives them credibility to a degree in my eyes. I don't know. I've never met the Warrens. I can't. They're gone. But that gives them credibility, at least in my eyes. I mean, everybody's different. Think what you will. But that little photo is really hard to debunk. So the Warrens leave. All right? They come. They're just like, okay, yeah, there's definitely a problem here. You know, they go get their film developed. They see the little kid. They're like, yeah, there's definitely a problem. Everybody says there was not a kid that day, but there was obviously a kid. So the Warrens plan to come back. Unfortunately, the Warrens don't get to come back because it only took 28 days for these people to run. And so by the time the Warrens had scheduled to come back, the Lutzes were gone. Gone, gone, gone. They had taken what little they could and they vacated, leaving the rest of their furniture behind. Which, that's extreme, no? So that leads credibility to the haunting itself, that to some degree they at least believe that they're haunted because they left. Just, you don't just leave an $80,000 house just swooping in the breeze and then try and sell it for for like whatever you can get later on. That's insane. That's house abandonment, and most people don't do that. So that's weird. Which kind of does give credibility to this house might actually be haunted. I don't know. But since the time that the Lutzes sold the house, it's changed hands a few times, and each time it's sold for way less than its ultimate value. Because, I mean, this is a beautiful house, guys. There's no way that this couldn't be like $1 million piece of property at least. Even back then, really close to $1 million, right? But no, it's whole life. It's whole life. Since the moments the DeFeos moved in, this house has just, no one wants it. No one seems to fully want it. People have not loved it. It's weird. Now, the original house, unfortunately, at least this is what the owner at the time of this incident says, that a tree from the yard during a storm broke and slammed into the windows, breaking at least one or two of them. And so they had them all removed. So these, iconic eyeball windows that the Amnitiville address had, it doesn't have no more. I think the remaining unbroken windows went to auction, and I don't remember what price they fetched. But when I was a kid is when I heard that they went to auction. Like, this is like a story from the 70s, So I was little when I first came into it. But yeah, so it now has regular shuttered windows up there, which I don't like. I really don't like. And the second fireplace, I think, has been capped and rerouted because they have a singular, what is it? A singular window in the center. I was trying to think of what the mythical beast it is that has just one eye, and I can't think of it. I feel so stupid because I know what it is. But anyways, so the building only has like one window on one side and then two shuttered windows on the other. It seems very unbalanced. I don't like it. I don't like it. The building went from black paneling to off-white cream to a bluish white, back to regular white. It went from having one overlook porch sunroom to having two, which is where I think it is now, which essentially is actually three because I keep forgetting the side of the house. I think we all forget about the one on the back side of the house. But anyways, so yeah, it just seems to keep changing hands, and no one since has really reported any haunting events or anything like that. That's another reason I think that the haunting may have just been old construction that was coming close to an end. Because after the Lutzes moved out, after they sold the property got renovated. Things got fixed. And with each new owner, more things got fixed. Got repainted, new carpets, new woodwork, some walls changed, all kinds of fun renovations inside the house. So the original house, you could say, probably no longer has its original plumbing. The original house probably no longer has its original wallpaper, glue, or ceilings. Probably floors too. So there's a lot of the original house that is now just brand new. It's the outside of the house, like the shape, that is old. This house has been loved again, and now no longer seems to be haunted, which is like a theory of mine, that a lot of people, they suspect buildings of being haunted because the building, one, looks creepy. Okay, immediately you're going to think, oh, it's haunted. Look at how creepy it is. That's a give. Most people think, I have to fix those windows. For some reason, they're down too low. Anyways, so, sorry. So, if the building looks creepy, our simple brains tend to go, okay, that seems like ghosts might live there, right? Even if you don't open, why are these windows wrong too? Seems like it just shuffled things. Anyways, what happened there? Um, that's what our brain does. It plays tricks on us. So if something visually looks one way, or it triggers a smell in our brain that is linked to a memory of something scary from when we were kids and the boogeyman existed to us, all of these factors can make you think something is a scary ghost that is not even close. Especially in a building, because it's a big structure. And when all the lights are out and no one's been cleaning around the floors or the molding around the ceiling, you get these like little stains, and it kind of creeps down the walls. The wallpaper yellows over time. The windows are dusty. Not good. You can hear bugs and mice moving. All of these things can add in your brain, and you might think there's a ghost. To the point where you might even hear whispers in your ear. Okay? It's not a ghost. It's just your brain having a skits moment because you're scaring yourself. So it's like, okay, I'll play along. I'll scare you too. And it whispers things to you. It messes with you. It's your imagination. It's going a little crazy because you've given it free rein because you're afraid of your surroundings. So simply that's what this house could have been suffering back when the Lutzes moved in. Simply that. It was old. It was somewhat dirty. And it hadn't been loved in a while. And so they creeped themselves out. And since the dad was into the paranormal and thought that he could possibly turn a buck on it, he upped the story. He upped it. Made it seem even worse. Well, I think that's what happened. I personally think that's. Because today this house stands. It is a beautiful house. It doesn't sell for a good price because of its history, even though they've changed the address. This is now 108 Ocean Avenue instead of 112. Because people... Huh?
I'd fucking buy it.
Yeah, I would buy this house in a heartbeat. It just needed love. In my opinion, this house just needed love. Say there were old disembodied spirits. Get yourself some sage and sweetgrass and tell them to move on. You know? Think it through. Don't just abandon the place. Anyways, so to this day, this house is... the owners come and go. Okay? Possibly because of the story. Possibly because the neighbors keep telling them about the story. Possibly because people know the address and keep showing up and taking pictures of the house. Because if you look up this address, there are thousands of pictures of this house through every phase of its renovation. Not kidding. Every face that this house has had is cataloged online in photo. That tells you how many people go to witness the house. To just sit there and stare at it. Probably walk around it. You know? Like, oh my God, is it haunted? Is it haunted? Is it haunted? And so the people who live there, of course, they're not going to want to keep living there because that's annoying after a while. And so they sell it because of its history and its stories. The real estate agents can't ask the full price. So the house's unfortunate image continues to be nefarious. Even though they've essentially marred the poor building by removing its eyeball windows. It's blind now. It's got little peepers instead of the big ones. It doesn't look right. But yeah, I would buy this house in a freaking heartbeat. Haunted, not haunted, demonic possession, no demonic possession. Don't care. It is beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my God. So, there we have it. The Amnitiville horror haunting from start to finish. And it finishes with the house being renovated a bunch of time and having a kind of like a pink pastel blue motif going on through it at this point. It's very girly inside nowadays. I don't know, I would have kept going with the gothy kind of like rustic and whatever. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to look this story up. I mean, there's a lot of speculation on the is it haunted, is it not haunted, and you know my opinion. I don't think it was. I think it was just unloved. But yeah, feel free to look it up because it is a crazy story. And a sad one. Yeah. If only they had got him help. Anyway, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this video and you have yourself a wonderful day. And yes, I am using my old headset, so if it's making like a weird undertone, I'm really sorry about that. But this headset just works better for me. I know. Frustration. So, you have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching. Oh, and thank you for all of those views. I'm still blown away. Y'all rock. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.